Guys, I have a serious question for you. Do you or anyone you love suffer from a condition known as angry 17-year-old atheism? It's a condition that was first described to me by one of my professors in graduate school, in which a young person maybe turns against their faith or tradition they used to believe in, maybe because they read some philosophy, picked up some Nietzsche or something like that from some of the bad kids that smoke cigarettes and read philosophy outside the dumpsters at school. That never happened at my school. Maybe it did at yours. But this is a thing that I think can be a huge temptation for people that grow up religious and turn against it, have religion forced upon them. And it's indicative of a broader intellectual, philosophical, theological, social trend in which people have this all or nothing view on religion. And I'm going to give you a couple examples right here. Take the statement, God exists and the Bible is true. The antithesis of that is God doesn't exist and the Bible is dumb. Now, I think both of those positions are potentially wrong and not helpful and not interesting. And there's a philosopher I want to talk to you about today who I think gets at this pretty well. By the way, if you don't know me, my name is Michael Burns. This is my YouTube channel where I talk about, philosophy, religion, politics, life, my declining existential state of consciousness, all sorts of things like that. But today we're talking about a philosopher named Ludwig Feuerbach. And Feuerbach does something fun. Rather than being like, God exists and the Bible is true, or God doesn't exist and the Bible is dumb, he's like, yeah, God doesn't exist, but the Bible and the theological tradition is actually really interesting and we can learn a lot from it and it can help us understand our own humanity in a way which means we don't have to just completely negate the entire tradition. Let's start with this, okay? One of the most notable things Feuerbach ever says is this. He said, the secret of theology is anthropology. I'll say it again. The secret of theology is anthropology. Well, we can ask, what does that mean? Well, this means that God and theology more generally is a way that humans project ourselves outwards so that we can understand our consciousness and our humanity like it was an external object. It'd be equivalent to, you look back at a journal you wrote when you were younger and you're able to externalize a moment of your own consciousness and understand it better. Maybe you create a piece of art or something like that in which you see yourself externalized in another thing. And this is what Feuerbach thought the gist was with religion, right? I'll say it again. The secret of theology is anthropology. Anthropology, if you don't know the word, just means like the study of humanity, the way we think about ourselves. Let's go through some Feuerbach quotes. We'll talk about this. I'll try to make it practical. But of course, ask me questions in the comments if it's not. Now, this is something that Feuerbach writes. He writes that as man thinks, as is his understanding of things, so is his God. Okay, so as we think, right, as we understand the world, we're kind of creating our God. So much worth as man has, so much and no more has his God. So the value we give to ourselves is the value we give to God. The consciousness of God is the self-consciousness of man. The knowledge of God, this is the kicker here, friends, is the self-knowledge of man. The knowledge of God is the self-knowledge of man. Here's what that means. If you are engaging in the study of theology or religion and you're learning about, let's say, the goodness or the peacefulness or the potential for transcending one's own, anxieties or whatever it might be, we're talking about humanity. Religious texts and traditions are ways, according to Feuerbach, that we better understand ourselves. And this means that those traditions have value and that kind of just burning the books or writing them off because youth group got lame or something leads to us missing out on it. It also means that for someone who didn't grow up around any religious tradition and don't take it seriously, we're missing a sort of anthropological importance here. I'll say another thing about Feuerbach as well as I jump around. He's a 19th century German philosopher. If you know stuff about philosophy, cool. If not, don't worry. We're all here together. But he's sort of this unknown middle point between Hegel and Marx, right? Hegel is our big 19th century German idealist. In its most simple sense, Hegel was interested in the way in which we can fully understand the conceptual structures of thought. We can understand how we think, and in doing so, we can understand consciousness. And even better, by understanding ourselves, we understand nature, right? It's an absolute idealism. Philosophy can help us understand it all. Marx, on the other hand, is a materialist. So for Marx, the way we understand the world is by understanding material conditions, because material conditions predate consciousness. And Feuerbach's humanism is sort of in between those two gentlemen. We'll talk more about it. Another line here, Feuerbach says, hence, man is prepared to concede that the predicates of God are anthropomorphic, but not the existence of God. To him, it is a settled, inviolable, absolute, certain, objective truth. Here's what he's saying. We're willing to be like, every way we describe God is human, right? We use human language and human concepts to understand God, but then we're like, but it's not a human thing. But it's another thing. It's like another thing. And Feuerbach's point would be like, no, the reason that we use anthropomorphic language to understand the divine is because, again, it's a way that we talk about ourselves. If the religion thing isn't working for you here, I would ask you to think about this. Think about, science fiction. Think about animated television and films where we take creatures and things that don't exist, but we use them to better understand ourselves. Or in sci-fi, we create worlds and cultures and beings that don't exist, but they all exist for the sake of helping us understand things about ourselves. Okay, you got it? Good. I'm going to read some more quotes. He says, the new philosophy makes man together with nature as the basis of man, the exclusive, universal, highest object of philosophy. Guys, I know this is wordy, but you understand it. Or if you don't, I'll help you understand it. And if you still don't, it's okay. But when Feuerbach says this, he's talking about the way in which philosophy not only helps us kind of re-understand theology or religion, it helps us understand ourselves. And in this way, he wants philosophy to be about understanding our own humanity. In the same way that he thinks religion maybe takes us too far into the cosmos or the heavens with our thinking, with idealist philosophy, he's like, that makes us way more, or that makes us focus too much on concepts and ideas, but not real things, real emotions, real experiences that we find ourselves in. And friends, I think that philosophy is a way of thinking about our lives in the world around us. And if we can't use philosophy to better understand ourselves in the world around us, like, what are we doing? It's sort of intellectually jerking off. And jerking off is cool. If you like jerking off, I don't disrespect that. Let us know in the comments how often you jerk off. Don't do that. Probably don't do that. But Feuerbach is reminding us that that's the highest object of philosophy, to understand ourselves and sort of in line with that, help us live a good life. So this leads him to saying, no religion, that is my religion. No philosophy, that is my philosophy. Whoa, edgelord stuff here, right? No, the point is to say that, like, the rejection of a previous form of religion becomes his religion. Think about it this way. He is negating a thing to arrive at a new position. So by negating the previous theological tradition and instead affirming that religion is about humanity, he's establishing a new religion or a new value to religion. When he says no philosophy, it's like in negating the heavy conceptual nature of idealist philosophy, a philosophy that wants everything to be about abstract concepts, and negating that, we can arrive at a new philosophy that is about our humanity, And this is interesting for a variety of ways, but particularly in terms of religion, I think this means that, like, it gives us a way to think about what an atheist theology would look like. Or it gives us a way to think about the value of religion from an atheistic position, which is important and something I want to talk about more here on this channel where we find ourselves together. This video is brought to you by a sponsor, which is just you. I want to say thank you so much to everyone who signed up for my Patreon, which, how does it look like? It looks like this. It looks like that. But I want to thank everyone who signed up for that. It means a lot. You're literally, you are this. I am you. You are me. You are making this happen. That level of support has encouraged me to keep making stuff. Everyone who's subscribed, everyone who's left a comment. It's wild that you guys care about this stuff. And it's been really cool to see that some of the stuff I've talked about on here relates to things you all have gone through. So please do. If you're a patron, let me know over on Patreon. If you're not, let me know here. what other stuff you want me to talk about, what sort of stuff's interesting for you. And of course, there's a link in the description. If you want to sign up, that's cool. If you sign up for Patreon, you get longer versions of the videos. I'm going to start doing some live streams that will only be there, things of that nature. So check that out if you want. But back to Feuerbach, okay? He says the only true and necessary change in philosophy can be one that harks to the needs of the age as well as that of mankind. So again, simple thing here. But the point of philosophy and the point of this sort of like anthropological reading of religion is the service of mankind. So let's think about this in light of the opening quote we talked about, right? Which is that the secret of theology is anthropology. Well, if the secret of theology is anthropology, and if the change in philosophy is one that harks to the age as well as that of mankind, what he's basically saying here is that when we reconfigure or reread or reconceive of theology in this anthropological way, we're not doing it to be like, see, religion is dumb or wrong or bad. We're doing it to reconfigure philosophy and theology as tools that help us think about our own humanity so that we can better embrace all that is good within us. And think about it this way. Maybe there's times where people have, via their various religious traditions, read about people that were brave, courageous, loving, sought justice, all these sorts of things. For Feuerbach, the point isn't that, yes, the great fictional or non-fictional men of the past or whatever could do these things. His point is like, no, these are human things. These are things that all humans are capable of, that you are capable of. And it can be a hard thing sometimes, especially, and I'll say this because I know a lot of you expressed in the comments to the video on Marxism and religion that you have had experiences where you grew up religious and left that tradition or have struggled with what it means to be religious later in life. It kind of gives you a way to say those things that were meaningful to me don't have to lose their meaning because I no longer think that there's a transcendent deity that exists out in the cosmos. Those things can be meaningful because, as Feuerbach says, these are ways that people have sought to understand their own humanity. And for Feuerbach, again, in understanding our humanity, we're focusing on something that is real, something that is tangible, something that affects our lives, And as one quote from him, so with the last philosophy quote, so for anyone who's like, God damn it, Michael, this feels like school. Class is almost out. It says, only he who has the courage to be absolutely negative has also the power to create something new. I want you to be more negative, friends. And here's what I mean by that. I don't want you to be like, everything sucks. That's lame. Nothing's cool. I'm afraid to feel passionate about something. I don't want to earnestly like things. No, earnestly like things. It feels really good. Let me know stuff you earnestly like in the comments. That will be fun. I earnestly like the music of MJ Lenderman. I was watching some YouTube videos earlier, but that's another thing for another day. But when he says absolutely negative, he means we have to sometimes take systems of thought that exist and negate them or critically think through them for the sake of building something new. So for him, we get this sort of humanistic atheism or even like a Christian atheism or a Christian atheist philosophy that comes through the negation of the idea that religion is describing an external transcendent thing. And when we negate the idea that religion is a way of understanding this external thing that's not us, we're able to flip that logic around and understand that religion is a way that humanity has externalized their own consciousness and their own humanity to better understand it. And when we re-embrace that, we sort of take on a new way of thinking. And I think that's exciting. And I hope this is useful both for people that have a stake in the world of religion or had a stake in the world of religion, and is useful for people that are interested in philosophy and how philosophy is thought about stuff like religion and materialism. And this relates to the Marx stuff because we can talk about this later. Marx, a lot of his work is responding to stuff that Feuerbach was doing, okay? I'll leave it there for now, but again, the secret of theology is anthropology. Reminder as well, I'm going to be streaming more, so make sure you subscribe, ring the bell, check out the Patreon if you want. You can be a dog, a big dog, or a biggest dog. And for all of the patrons, the video actually is going to keep going from this point. But for now, for everyone who's here on YouTube, thank you so much. And negate some stuff to make some new stuff. and I will see you back here next time.